Well, good afternoon, everyone, also from my side. And Karina, thank you for the introduction and amazing pronunciation of my name. Yes, because it's usually a bit hard. So as Karina announced, today I will, during my presentation, show some highlights from the replacement campaign implemented in the Canton Sarajevo, which will be a bit challenging after presentations done by our other partners and their amazing solutions they implemented in their countries. But in that regard, at the very beginning, before we jump to the highlights, I would like you just give some brief insight in the current state regarding the heating sector in Bosnia and Herzegovina, given that Bosnia is still a country in the transition and we still face many challenges in this sector, and many of these innovative technologies are very complicated and still very challenging to be implemented there. So we have some other basic problems and things that we have to solve before we jump to some more innovative solutions. So in this regard, one of the basic challenges that heating sector in Bosnia is facing is regarding outdated and inefficient technology and the infrastructure currently used for the heating system, especially in the district heating systems. And on the other side are very high reliance on the fossil fuels. So in Bosnia, there is more than 10 coal mines that still operate and their highest efficiency. So coal is the mostly, as you can see, so coal takes 2/3 in a primary energy consumption of the country. So we can see that reliance on the coal is really high, but it's not easy also to transition in some fast way and to phase out coal totally, given that is used also for production of electricity on one side and also for the heating sector. So this was found one of the major challenges, especially at the beginning of the project. So regarding the use of the coal in the households, also it is mostly used in the rural area, and it's used because of its affordability and also availability, so is the cheap. And as some studies shows, mostly households that use coal as a day energy source, these are the households with the lowest income. So further, what coal causes is definitely very high indoor but also outdoor pollution, and also which poses further health risks, which we also through the few studies showed through the last years, especially in Canton Sarajevo, that heating sector had a very large impact on the health and several diseases. So I found that this was important as the introductory part, as I said, to show some current state, especially regarding the Canton Sarajevo, which was the pilot region of the Replace project. So due to the higher demand for the heating energy, Sarajevo Canton faces a very high pollution every winter. So in the last few years, this last winter was a bit better, but during the last few years, as a capital city of one country, Sarajevo was several times the most polluted city in the Europe. So showing that, given that this happens during the winter time, shows that the heating sector affects in a very large scale also this problem of pollution. So based on the results of one study from 2020, out of around 130,000 households in Sarajevo, 41,000 households are connected to the district heating network from the public company Toplane. And further, Toplane also use natural gas and coal for the heating. 49,000 households use natural gas for heating, and 40,000 households use solid fuels, out of which the most it's coal. So this is from where we started, and this is the reality check of the current state in the Canton Sarajevo. So that was where the replace took the action, and what we tried through the project is to find the best way how to address this problem, how to approach, and where basically to start. So at the very beginning of the project, we conducted the baseline study in order to, given that our approach wanted to be mostly focused on the end consumers, so we conducted baseline study with the end consumers, where we, from the communication and the insight from their side, we could see what are the major obstacles and what are the barriers for the transition to renewable energy sources. Out of this survey, we could find that one of the most common is lack of information, and seeing that people basically do not know what are the renewable energy sources at all, and with regard to the heating sector, what are their options available. On the other side, this is distrust of innovative solution, and this one was the most popular with the elderly population, given that they strongly believe only in coal and they don't want to try anything new. And also, one of the most important factors is definitely financial factor, given that Canton Sarajevo does not have any kind of the constant subsidy scheme that will support this kind of the action of the replacement. So all these factors we had to take into account in order to know how to create our replace campaign. Also, one of the questions for the participant was related to the consideration of heating system replacement. 70% say they plan to switch to the renewable energy source. 24% said that they plan to replace their system, but due to some other reasons, maybe outdated system, but they will still continue to use fossil fuels, and 59% said they do not plan to switch their system. So this was the baseline study from the beginning of the project. So in this regard, project team, together with the local working group, at their first meeting, first focus was, as I said, to find the best way how to approach end consumers and which activities will have the highest reach out, together with the in collaboration also and partnership with other major stakeholders of the project, including the local governments, industry stakeholders, intermediaries, installers, and so on. But as I said, our major focus or focus of our campaign were the end users. Also, the goal was set to assist and educate end consumers on the advantages of renewable heating systems, what is their availability on our local market, and what is the best way for the implementation. So, however, it would look to someone else. Maybe the information hubs were one of our most successful and most important activities during our campaign, given that they were organized in a way to approach and on the places where circulate the highest number of the end users, which are premises of municipalities. So in this regard, we organized 3 info hubs point, where and one of the reasons for such success of the activity was the fact that our project team, every day for 8 hours, some from our project team was available on these sites. So everyone who approached had the opportunity to directly consult with our project team to ask direct questions, and people came with a lot of questions. Some of them stayed like more than a half of an hour, which we know that in this way we knew that this was the good way to implement this kind of the activity. Further, we on the site we utilize all tools and all materials we were provided through the project, from the replace calculator, where we did some on-site fast calculator calculations. Also, we use matrices, and based on the preferences of the end users, we provide them with the materials just for some further information. So upon our approximation, over 1,000 visitors we had during these info hubs. Also, this activity was the meeting point and possibility for engagement with end users for some further activities. Other activity we found very successful was the development of techno-economic feasibility studies within the Replace campaign. Given that this kind of the studies have never been done before in the region of the Canton Sarajevo, so given that their development was offered for free for this kind of the project, we had very high interest in this kind of the activities. So although it was at the beginning planned to have 6 studies, we managed until now to finish 7 techno-economic feasibility studies, but also we plan to take another one after we finish these most important things within the campaign. So this activity will definitely rely after the project. And in these first 7 studies, they focused on the single family houses, which are mostly heated by the coal or wood and coal combinations. Besides the results from the calculation, we did the analysis and the further consultation with the owners of the buildings to get some insight of the on the facility and the current system. So what we could find is, in many cases, many unnecessary heat losses. We could find also oversized boilers previously recommended by the installers. Also, we could find, like in several cases, heat losses due to the lack of the there was no sufficient thermal insulation, whether of the outer envelope of the building or the ceiling, or maybe outdated external windows or something like that. So in our analysis and our recommendations, we firstly focused on increasing the energy efficiency of the building, and as the first step prior to replacement. So any replacement to have its full efficiency and to have sense, firstly, these are the steps of increasing energy efficiency are first that have to be taken out. So also, beside the result from the calculator, we analyzed also the preferences of the end users, and these were most regarding the pellet boilers and the air-to-air heat pumps. Pellet boilers maybe a bit more given due to the cost, given that the air-to-air heat pump cost a lot more, and they require some also other work to do than the pellet boilers. As I said, we plan to continue with this activity given that this was discussed also in collaboration with Cantonal Ministry of Environmental Protection and municipalities in the Canton Sarajevo. And what our first step would be to establish a standard and a concept how these feasibility studies would become a standard practice during the heating replacement system, but also especially for the old houses or the houses that already have their system installed. We had a lot of activities, but these are the some most important and maybe the most interesting I wanted to point out. And this one was also important, was the supporting pioneers. Support those who already replaced their system, who put some effort, maybe face some challenges. And for this activity, we organized and we visited and labeled 30 households which are heated by the renewable energy sources. And in our case, it's mostly related to the pellet and the heat pumps again. Also, we organized 8 open house events. These kind of events offer the other end users to visit houses with renewable energy heating systems, to ask their owners any questions they have concerning their replacement, from the benefits to the challenges to anything they would like, so investment and so on. So this was to hear their first-hand experience, and these activities were found very successful, and end users really showed big interest, given that they traveled from one side to the region to the another just to participate in this kind of the activity. So given the opportunity for this kind of the events should be given in a future, definitely much more. And for the end is one also thing I would like to point out in this regard is that our ENOVA project team and some participants from the local working group where we in effect met and agreed on this. So we participated in development on the strategy for restricting the use of coal and other solid fuels in Canton Sarajevo. As I said, government of Canton Sarajevo recognized problem of the air pollution, of the use of the solid fuels. That is the biggest problem related to the air pollution. So this was the first step to do analysis and to develop the strategy. And for the purpose of this strategy, they were performed calculation of total emissions and impact on air quality of all individual solid fuel heating system using a different kind of dispersion models. So they were provided energy efficiency measures in individual buildings and also improvement amendments to regulation aimed at improving air quality in Canton Sarajevo and so on. So in this strategy, three kind of the scenarios for air quality improvement were given. So upon their adoption, representatives of Canton Sarajevo will see which one of the scenarios will be implemented. So we hope so that this strategy will, it was drafted and it's pending its approval from the May 2022, and we still do not know why it's still pending, but we are making our biggest effort to have it adopted as soon as possible. So in conclusion, we can say that we had really, despite the many challenges which I had to mention, and the current situation, we can say that set really good background for some further changes and further development of these kind of the activities, and also it served as the medium to showcase sustainable heat supply strategies, good practices and innovation technologies. So it was also a point for initiation of a constructive dialogue regarding a potential keys and challenges in this sector, but also on the maximization of utilization of the renewable energy sources. So we hope so we will continue in this matter, given that we showed commitment to sustainable development and improvement of quality of life in Canton Sarajevo. So I really appreciate your attention, and in case you have any questions, I will be delightful to give you an answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are perfectly on time, which is great given the number of speakers we had. Is there a question I could pose directly? Yes, out in the back.
Not too hard.
Sorry, I don't want to be repetitive. Saveri Papa from Solar Heat Europe. And I was wondering, even in this case, because it's different countries, I basically have the same question to all the partners. So what were the technologies that you considered throughout the project? So just pellet boilers and heat pumps, or also other technologies?
Through the project, we developed lists, we developed materials based on all alternatives that could be possibly implemented or available. So also we, all partners adopted their strategies and their campaign related to the local conditions. So regarding local conditions in Bosnia, pellet and air-to-air heat pumps were most suitable in most cases. They're available, we have good systems, we have good installers on these systems. Also, combination with the solar panels were in some cases also recommended, but people are still a bit suspicious about these kind of the systems, and as I said, we do not have any kind of the subsidies for this kind of the investment, so that's the reason why people mostly choose alternatives such as pellet boilers or air-to-air heat pump. So that's basically the reason.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the great work and examples from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Was there one more quick question? Okay, then we will take that.
Only it's for no, don't worry. It's only that thing you are now a coal area. We are the region of Castilla y León, and we were a coal region in the past, but not now. So only I want to recommend you that in this transition that you are, don't be hurry and take into account that also your local resources are there. So you have to find the balance, I think.
Yes, of course, please. We just use the mic.
Thank you. Topic of the call is not just related to the region, Canton Sarajevo. It's related to the complete country, because all our economy relies on the coal. So to phase out the coal, it will have a huge impact on the whole economy. Also, almost all our electricity, or as I said, 2/3 is produced from the coal. It's from thermal energy power plants. So that's the major reason. And also, if we are talking about the replacement options, heat pumps which use electricity, in our case, it's still not sustainable solutions, because we use electricity produced from the coal. So it's on some higher level, it's bit difficult problem, but I understood what you can say. We can start, we will have to start from one point. That's definitely, so that's basically, and thank you for the question.
Thank you very much for this question and also the answer, of course. 2 more points. One is our colleagues from EVO